Well, welcome back, everybody, to our live stream. Today, we are going to be running a preview of our webinar that's coming up on Saturday, 18th of April, to do with mortgages. Okay, we're looking at the ultimate financial exit strategy here, a technical pathway to move beyond the burden of mortgages, because it's a huge burden for many people. And we're going to explore what Ian calls the infinity loop, a spending and recoupment cycle where your signature is the energy. That is what creates the credit. If you're ready to reclaim that and reclaim your credit energy and restore that financial truth as to where it should be, then this conversation in the upcoming webinar is absolutely for you. Before we get started into that, though, maybe, Ian, a good place to start would be just a 30,000-foot view, an elevator view, if you like, of reclaiming your credit energy. You know, most people feel the weight of mortgages these days, every single month when the payment's due. So at a high level, is that debt actually real? Or is it the result of people not really understanding how the money was created in the first place?
Well, it's a great deception. It's probably one of the greatest deceptions, certainly on the Monopoly Board of Commerce. The number of people that have got a mortgage or had a mortgage is a huge percentage of the world population. And they've all been tricked and duped into a slavery model. I mean, many people know the word mortgage is a debt, it's a death pledge. It's what it means in French. So, you sign up for this loan, which you believe is going to enable you to buy your house or refinance one death pledge or mortgage that you already had. And you probably feel quite pleased when you get the nod from the bank that says, yeah, you've qualified. And now you can go and get that property that you want to live in or whatever you're doing with it. And you don't realize that, you've been absolutely duped and conned really by the banks, and it's not necessarily the people that you go and see or even on the online people that put the online application process together. They probably don't know what's really going on. Your signature is the credit that creates the mortgage, and then worse than that energy, because your signature is an expression of energy, gets traded by what I call the gods of the universe, which is the investment bankers in New York, who hypothecate it, which means they use it to make more money. And that's what's going on. And the mortgage market worldwide is trillions of dollars. And the investment banks are doing very well on that. Thank you very much. But they do pay taxes for the use of your energy. And they pay those taxes to the United States Treasury, being the bankruptcy trustee of the entire Monopoly Board of Commerce. And those taxes that the investment banks are paying belong to you, but nobody ever told you that. And that's how you can reclaim your credit energy or recoup your credit energy. It's not from the banks, it's from the United States Treasury, who redirect the tax recoupment back to its originator, back to its source. And that's I think it's going to be, when I'm no longer here, whenever that is, when I've moved on to some other realm, I'm rather hoping that that's what I'm going to be remembered for. Is the guy who figured out how to do that, how to get that credit energy recouped, and then use it, and then recoup it again, and then use it, and then recoup it again.
Okay. So when we're talking about the actual voiding of a mortgage, then are we stopping payments, or are we talking about a complete legal discharge, shall we say, and removing the bank's claim over your property? I mean, again, high level, how does that work?
Well, very high level. Many people have tried to complain to their bank when they realised that their signature created the credit that the bank used to provide the mortgage. Many people have tried complaining to the mortgage provider, or even stop paying altogether, and then ending up in court for mortgage foreclosure, because their view is, well, I created the credit, therefore the bank didn't lend me any money, therefore why should I pay them mortgage installments, I might as well just stop paying them. And then when I go to court, I'll tell the judge that it was my signature that created the credit and the bank didn't lend anything. There's no consideration in the loan. Therefore, there isn't really a mortgage, and there's nothing that the bank can do. Is there, Judge? And the judge is going to say, well, actually, there's a mortgage charge over the property, and if you don't pay, we're going to make it so that you lose the property, and then get into very deep trouble with your credit score and all sorts of other nasty things that happen if you don't pay. So that's going on, and of course, it's very difficult to navigate around that. But there is a way, and that's what I'm going to be talking about on this Saturday's webinar.
Okay. Well, let's touch on that then. You mentioned this infinity loop, this sort of ultimate exit strategy. This protocol isn't just about the mortgage, is it? I mean, what is this infinity loop? How does it change a person's relationship with, I guess, every pound, every dollar, everything that leaves their bank, or what they quote unquote spend?
Well, when you comprehend that it was your signature that created the credit in the first place, and then the bank that you got the mortgage from sold your credit energy through a securitization to the gods of the universe in New York, in the investment banks in New York, and when you really figure out that those investment banks are holding themselves out as if they were the ultimate creditors because they bought the debt. So therefore, they're the ultimate creditors of the mortgage. But that's not true. They are not the ultimate creditors at all. And when you challenge them in the right way, they have to back off because they can't prove that they ever were the creditors in the first place. And that's all done by tax filings. So the interesting thing here is to actually get to discharge and void a mortgage is not done by going into the courtroom or going into a complaint process against the bank and arguing about the mortgage contract or arguing about what's called the registration gap or arguing about no consideration in the mortgage, therefore there's no contract or anything of that type. The argument that wins is a tax argument. It is the fact that the investment bank has been paying taxes on the use of your energy. You can prove it because there's a securitization and what's called holder in due course report that proves that the investment bank has been using your credit energy and they never were the creditor, they were the debtor. And once you've got that proof at the very top of the ledger, then you can use that to void the mortgage. Not by going to war with the mortgage provider, because you don't need to go to war. You've got the ultimate proof that you were the creditor, and you've got the proof from the top of the ledger that you were always the creditor. And then the best part about it is that as part of that process, you are able to recoup the face value of the mortgage, as well as probably bank payments that you've made from the age of majority and the any other mortgages you may have had, plus credit cards, loans, and even deductions from your wages. So tax deductions from your wages. So you add all those together, unless you're 18 years of age and 1 day, you've probably got a very high amount, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, that you can be recouping, and then spending that recoupment and recouping it back again in yearly cycles. And that's what I mean by the infinity loop. Get rid of the mortgage, lawfully get rid of the mortgage, and get this infinity loop of spend and recoupment cycles yearly.
Amazing. So let's talk a little bit about why people should be attending as well. Because the more people that we can get on our webinars, the more people we can help. I mean, on Saturday, what are people going to see Saturday, 10 a.m., that they've never been shown by a bank or a lawyer or a financial advisor before?
Well, I hope that if they come, if they don't know anything about mortgages and how they work, they're going to understand or comprehend how they work, which is probably going to be big news for some people that come, because they probably got a belief that, as I've used this analogy many, many times, you're invited to networking dinner and you happen to sit at a table and everybody else on the table is a banker, and you get into conversation and you say, well, what do you guys do? Oh, we're bankers. Oh, really? I've just taken a mortgage out. Can you tell me how it works? And the bankers are all going to say, yeah, we take deposits in from our customers and we lend them out. And you think, well, that's perfectly logical. Why would I ever challenge that? And you're just going to get on with the next conversation piece, what happened in last night's football match or whatever else you're going to talk about, or rugby match or cricket match or whatever it is that's your thing. So, the bankers have been getting away for years by justifying that what they do is they take deposits and they lend them out. Well, what they don't tell you is that those deposits are your signature. Your signature is the deposit. It's a signature expression. It's an expression of energy. It's a transfer of energy from you, the living man, woman, onto this monopoly board, this artificial monopoly board. And the bankers fool people by just saying, yeah, we take deposits. And people don't really understand how that works. And they never question it. So when you restore your financial truth, that if you think of world debt, whatever the value is, there's different numbers out there, but it's definitely into the hundreds of trillions of dollars. That debt, if you ask the question, which I ask regularly, is who is it owed to? It's actually owed to the people, because it's their energy that's on the monopoly board, which is an artificial board, but it looks real. And the restoring your financial truth is correcting the record. At the moment, I'm going to be very bold and say something. Every single man, woman that's got a mortgage is living in a lie. They are financing a lie because they are the creditor, and yet they're paying, and yet they are the creditor. They created the mortgage, but every month they are using their slave tokens to pay a debt that they actually created, because they are the creditor. It's quite an extraordinary deception that hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in every country around the world that has mortgages is doing every month, and they are all living a lie.
It's quite timely, isn't it, that we've just had a webinar just gone on Saturday to do with the cost of living crisis. And I would say that people's mortgages are probably one of the biggest monthly factors to that cost of living crisis. They have to pay that, or they feel they have to pay that monthly mortgage amount every single time. In some cases, they don't have any control over the interest rate unless they're on a fixed mortgage or whatever it may be. And then everything else is going up in the background that's really putting the squeeze on. So, people are at a tipping point, aren't they? They really are. I mean, why do you feel now is the time for people to sort of master these subjects, these protocols, this information that you've put together, Ian, through the webinars that we do? Why now?
Well, because there's an agenda to it's making it more and more difficult to finance your journey around the monopoly board. And that's all by design. And with the crisis in the world at the moment, with World War III could break out at any moment, and oil prices going through the roof, and other energy, gas prices, and the shortage of food, and all the things, and the stress on the family is getting worse and worse. And as you rightfully say, the mortgage is one of the biggest outlays every month, and yet it doesn't need to be. It can be. You can actually use it, and I say this often, that every problem is a solution, and the universe brings us problems. Actually, what it's really doing is it's bringing us the problem, and when you unpack the problem, in the middle of the problem is the solution, and the solution that people, in my view, really should be aware of is what I'm going to be talking about on this Saturday's webinar, which is not only how you can void the mortgage, because that's good enough on its own, but you can actually get a perpetual annual cycle of recouping that credit energy that you've put on the board, spend and recoup, spend and recoup. And if that's not good enough for people to get rid of their mortgage and have an endless cycle of credit recoupment every year, then I don't know what is.
No. So let's talk a little bit about how people can support If you are a member here at the Republic of Old Souls, we have an advocates reward system as well that is all in place. You know, this reward program, it's not just about individual success for the member. You know, I mean, how does the reward system allow people to earn while they're helping both themselves and other people secure their homes through protocols like the mortgage protocol?
Well, we've got I think a pretty unique way of expanding and growing the membership, which is everyone who's coming to a webinar, whether you're an enrolled member or an envoy, doesn't matter. You can earn yourself rewards points by inviting other people to our webinars. We do a webinar every Saturday. Sometimes there's more than one webinar in a week, but you know, invariably it's on average it's one webinar a week for sure. And every single webinar, I pick a problem and then talk about the solution. And if there's enough interest in the solution, then we facilitate that solution for the membership. So what I want to do, and the ultimate goal is to build our sovereign nation with 500,000 envoys, is to spread the word. And the best way to spread the word, in my opinion, and in my experience, is referrals. So if you like the webinar, and lots of people do, because there's a very high number of testimonials coming from every single webinar, then you can invite people to come and watch the next webinar, or invite them to watch a previous webinar, which is also an option if they watch a previous webinar. And that everyone that you bring in that watches at least 70% of the webinars that they've attended, you get £100 reward points that you can set off against the enrollment, the donation that's required, because it's a ministry, to enroll in the Great Escape protocols, which will enable you to do exactly what we've just been talking about. So if you don't have any budget, but you do know lots of people, or you've got a social media channel or channels, you can use the webinar link and you can spread the word about getting people to come to our webinars and earn yourself £100 for everyone who comes to set off against the protocol costs. So you can finance all of the Great Escape protocols just by spreading the word. So if you're tight for budget, that's the solution that we're offering you.
Perfect. So there's a pathway for everybody, isn't there? If you're already in the protocols now and you want to continue to help expand the ministry, expand the envoys within the Republic of Old Souls, then that requires that people get themselves educated first. And the education comes on the webinars. So let's just take a moment, Ian, to show people how to do that. I'm going to share my screen, guys. Let me just remove this banner for a second as well, so that you can see a little bit more of what's going on. And then what I'll do is I'm going to go to the members area, because this is really simple to do. There's a couple of pathways that you can take here. You can go straight to your members area, and when you log in, whether you are a paid or a non-paid member at the moment, when you log in, you will see this page here, and hopefully you can see this, guys. So what we've got here, and again, I'm just going to remove that banner as well so that people can see a little bit more of the screen. There we go. So what you've got here is a rather large pop-up on screen that will show you the upcoming mortgage protocol webinar for this Saturday. This gets changed every week. So every week we have a new subject. Every week you'll see what that subject is. And if you scroll down, there's an explanation of what the webinar is going to be about. And then a little bit further down, just over here, if you can see, click here to book your webinar slot now. If you click on this link here, you will go to the registration page and you can personally register for the upcoming webinar. So that's you as a member. Now, if you want to be part of the referral program, if you are wanting to maybe even finance your protocols through the rewards program that we have, then just scroll down a little bit further and you'll see in bold at the bottom, your webinar referral link. So this long link that you see here at the bottom, that is your personal link. Everybody that registers for the webinar through that link, that is a person that will count towards those £100 bonuses. They've only got to watch 70% of any of the webinars, and that will go into a digital wallet as a credit against the donation fee for the protocols that you want to have. You imagine doing that every single week, just referring a few people each week, how that could compound over time. So one more time, you've got your link here. Okay, if you want to register using the StreamYard.com link there. If you want to send your personal referral link out, that is at the very bottom of the page here. You can simply click on the yellow button there and copy that, and you can send that out on your social media. You can pass that out to your friends and family. Who would not want to be completely free of such a huge burden that a mortgage puts on themselves? And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about this weekend. Now, another very, very simple way that you can do this, I'm also going to go over to this page here. Let me just share with you guys another page, because there's another way that you can do this too. And that is by going to our brand new webinar site. So we have a new page. Just bear with me, guys. Let me stop sharing and let me come back and pull up our wonderful new webinar. Hopefully you can see this on the screen as well. So if you go, and I'm going to put this particular banner up because this banner has the actual web address, guys. So if you go here to roswebinars.is, that will bring you to what is now our flagship webinar website. Okay, so roswebinars.is, very, very simple page to remember. That's going to bring you here. This will give you a list of the upcoming webinars, the ones that we've just ran, so you can see the cost of living crisis webinar there. We've got the preview to that, plus the actual webinar itself. If we scroll down, you'll see the next live transmission is the Void Mortgage Protocol that we've been talking about today. And a little bit further down, you will see not just the webinars that we've completed, but also as we scroll a little bit further, you will start to see how the referral system works as well. So if you want a little bit more detail about how the referral program works, scroll down to the bottom and you'll see exactly how you can leverage the link that you have in your members area and start earning those reward points. Okay, so let me just stop sharing my screen, Ian, and come back to everybody. In terms of, we'll put that link back up one more time. So it's roswebinars.is, guys. That is now our new flagship webinar page. In terms of final thoughts, Ian, I mean, I've got a few when it comes to this weekend. You know, I think for people that have never done this before or don't understand how this works, you mentioned that they're kind of living a lie, aren't they? They're paying the mortgage. You know, it's time to stop being that person. You're being a nominee for a bankrupt system at the end of the day. It's time to start repositioning yourself and start understanding how the system is really designed to work and leveraging that for yourself. So I would encourage anybody that's watching this preview, join us on Saturday, 10 a.m. UK time. See Ian map out that technical pathway of voiding mortgages and this infinity loop that we've spoken about as well, of spending and recouping year on year. All you got to do is go to the page and you can register. You've got two ways to do that: through your members area, through roswebinars.is, and then also help others to understand how this works as well. Reach out to your networks, reach out to your family, reach out to your friends, use your referral link, and you'll benefit from that as well. And I hope to see you there on Saturday is all I have to say. Any final thoughts from yourself, Ian?
Well, it seems to go down well. You know, I heard this a while ago. I'm going to tell it again. So in this, you can imagine a cave, and in the cave are all these guys chained down to the ground, and they're all facing a wall in front of them, and the chains are stopping them from moving their head left and right. So all they can see is ahead of them, and on the wall ahead of them, you've got shapes moving about, and that's all they see. And they've only ever experienced that, so they don't know anything different, right? Behind them is a fire, and there's somebody moving these shapes around. So the fire is projecting shapes on the wall in front of their eyes. Well, one day, one of the guys who's chained down to the ground decides he's had enough. He's going to break free, and he starts shaking his head about, and lo and behold, the chains come off, and he gets up, and the chains that are chained into the ground, they also are removed as well, quite easily. And he goes outside the cave, and there's this whole new world outside the cave. And he says, wow, this is amazing. I've got to go and tell everybody else in the cave. All they've got to do is shake their head and get up, and they can come and join me outside the cave. So he goes back in the cave, and he shouts from the top of his voice, come on, guys, all you got to do is shake your head and get up, and you can come and join me in this new world outside. And hardly anybody gets off from the ground. Hardly anybody even bothers to try shaking their head, because they're used to watching the shapes that are on the wall in front of them, and they're quite happy with that. But there's a whole new world outside. So if you're in a mortgage, you're like one of the guys who's chained to the ground, and all you've got to do is shake your head, get up, get out of that cave, come to my webinar, and I'll show you how you can break free of that cave.
Amazing. Well, guys, Ian, thank you for sort of giving us an elevator view of what's coming on Saturday. I'm excited. You guys should be excited about this. Mortgages are a huge, huge burden to people. Ian's going to show you a complete pathway of how to remove that burden and to continue in this infinity loop moving forwards, where you can spend and recoup and really transform your financial situation and your family's lives. So thank you for joining us on the preview. We hope to see you on Saturday. One more time, roswebinars.is. You can register for the event on Saturday. You can also go to your members area and find your referral link if you want to join us in the referral program and get other people onto the webinar who you feel would benefit from this information. So thanks for watching, and we hope to see you on Saturday. Bye for now, guys.
Bye now.